everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. I am Preeti, working as Oracle Fusion and PPM consultant. So in today's session we will discuss how to generate the invoice in the PPM module, and then we will push the same AR invoice to the receivable module. For that we have to follow some steps. First we will create the billable project, and then we will create the contract. After creating the contract, we have to create one event, and then we will generate the invoice with that event, and then we will import the receivable transaction in the receivable module. So we will directly move to our application and we'll see how to integrate PPM module with the AR module. So here I am logging with the user who have access to the PPM module. Go to home page. So first we will create the billable project, and then against that project we will create the invoice. For creating the project we have to go to this project tab, and then go to the project financial management. Click on this add icon for creating the new project. Here you have to select the source template, that is nothing but project template. Let's use the standard one, that is billable with no burden. Give the name of the project here. Give the project number here, and here give the start date of the project. Select the organization, that is project owning organization. When we create the project, here the organization will be selected as project owning organization. Now here you have to mention the project manager name. Let's take it the name of the user we have logged in with. Now click on save and continue. So this is the task structure, and it is fetching the task structure from the source template, and this is applicable for the billable purpose. We can see here the billable checkboxes, and these are the chargeable checkboxes. So we have created this project for the billable purpose, because we have to generate the AR invoice against this project. Now click on save and close. We created the project because while creating the contract we have to associate this project in the contract. Now our next step is we have to create the contract. For that, go to the navigator, then go to the contract management. Under the contract management you have to go to the contracts. creating the new contract, you have to click on this create contract tab. Now here you have to select the contract type. Give the contract number here. Now in the primary party, you have to select the customer name, against which customer you want to bill. You have to mention here while creating the contract. Give the effective start date of this contract. Click on save and continue. So this is the overview page of this contract, where you have to give the start date, currency, risk, and these are the details which you can fill out as per your business requirement. In the lines tab, you can create the contract lines, and against these lines you will generate the invoice. And here you can add the customers under the parties tab. You can see here, while creating the contract, initial information that we have filled out, at that time we have taken this customer as our primary party. Now here, when you will scroll down, you have to give the bill to account number of this customer. Select bill to site here. Select the ship to account number. Now move to our next task, that is deliverables. If you have committed any documents that you will deliver at the end of the project, then by adding, you can by this add icon, you can mention out here what are those deliverable items, and here you can keep the list of it. Then go to billing tab. Now in our earlier sessions we have discussed how to create the invoice method, revenue method, and what is the invoice formats. Also we have created the billing cycle. Now while creating the contract, you have to associate those tasks here. Select the contract organization. Select the transaction type of this invoice that you want to generate. Under bill plan, you have to associate your invoice method. You can see here, this is the method name, and you have to associate your invoice method here. Right now I am using the standard one provided by the Oracle. You can see here, this is the customer information, and it is fetching this information from the parties tab. You have to give the billing cycle here. Let's take it as monthly. What should be the payment terms applicable for this customer? Let's take it as net 30. And here in the invoice summarization options, you have to associate your invoice format. When you will create the line, then it will be automatically associated under this tab. Right now we are leaving it blank. It will fetch the information automatically from the lines. Click on save and close here, and then we will create the revenue plan for this contract. Click on this add icon. Here also you have to associate your revenue method, and here the line will be automatically associated. Click on save and close. When we will give the line, here it will automatically take the limit that we have mentioned while creating the contract type. Now move to the line tab here. Click on add icon. Click on OK here. This is the effective start date, and here give the line amount. This is the overview page of this line details, and now move to our next tab, that is billing, and associate your bill plan and revenue plan here. So when we created the contract type, we have selected the limit as soft limit, where when you will create the transaction against this contract and against this line, and if you will go beyond 2,75,000, then system will throw error, but it will allow you to create the transaction. Whereas you will select the limit as hard, system will not allow you to go beyond 2,75,000. So this is a basic difference between soft and the hard limit here. Now move to our next tab, that is associated projects. Here you have to associate the project with your contract. Click on add icon. Select the project name here. If you want to create the transaction against any specific task, then you can select the task name and number here. Say I want to create the transaction against this task. And this is the task number. So we have done all the required setups, or we have filled out all the required information that are necessary for creation of contract. Let's click on save here. Then go to actions and click on validate. Okay, so there are no errors or warnings. Click on done. And now we will submit this contract for approval. Click on submit. Now here you can send a note to the approver, and from here you can check who is the approver of this contract. So this is the user who is going to approve this contract. Let's click on submit. Click on save and close here. Search for the contract that you have created now. Now you will see the status as pending approval. You can see the status here. Now we will log in with the user who have right to approve this contract, and we will approve it from there. So this user didn't got any notification yet. So this user got the notification for the approval of this contract. You can see here. Now we will click on this approve icon, and now we will log in with the same user with which we have created this contract. We have seen how to create the billable project and contract, and now we will create event against which we will create the invoice. So our next step is we have to create the event. Now for creating the event, we have to go to the navigator. Now first you can see here that you have sent the contract for the approval, and this user has got the notification that this contract is approved. I will also show you that the status from pending approval will be changed to active now. You can see the status here. Now we will move to our next step, that we have to create the event. For that you have to go to this invoice workbench area of the contract management. Go to task panel here and then click on manage events. For creating the event, we have to click on this create icon. Select the contract number here, against which line you want to create the event. Select here. So we have created only one line. Now here you have to select the event type, and this event type is available for recognizing the revenue and for creating the invoice. Now here you have to give the completion date. So we have a soft limit of 2,75,000. Out of that 2,75,000, what is the amount for which you want to create the invoice? Let's take it as 1,75,000. Now here you have to select the project name, and the list will be available of the projects that you have associated with the contract. So we have associated only one project with this contract. Select the task name. You can see the hold information here. If you want to hold this invoice once indefinitely, here you can select the option. Same goes for the revenue. If you have any additional information, you can see here. You can see the adjustment history. Under the distribution, we can see the distribution related to invoice and revenue. So we have filled out the mandatory information, and now we will click on save and close. So we have created the event successfully, and now let's create one more event. Select the project name, then select the task here and click on save and close. So these are the two events that we have created. Now click on done here. Now again you have to go to the task panel, and our next task is to generate the invoices. For that you have to go to the task panel, and under process you can find the task that is generate invoices. Click on it. So you you have to submit the process for generating the invoices, where you have to select the business unit, business type, bill from date, bill through date. It can be on or after the event date. In the invoice date, system is taking today's date by default. Here you have to provide the contract number. You can give the customer name here. Let's select detail here. So we have filled out all the information. Now click on submit. Now under overview, you can see the status of this process. Go to the process monitor. Refresh this page. You can see this is under running status. So now it is succeeded. Click on this view output, and from here you can see the report. So this is our report, and the transaction are successfully loaded. For downloading this report, you have to export, and you can select the format here. So this is the report. Now we will log in with the user who have the access of the account receivable module in the Fusion. Now go to the receivable workbench. First, here we have to run one process. Go to the invoice workbench again. Go to the task panel and then click on transfer invoice details to receivables. When you will run this process, what system will do? System will push the data from the PPM module to the receivable module in the Fusion application. Again, here you have to select the business unit, business type, contract number. Select the invoice date here. Now click on submit. Now come to the receivable module and go to the billing workbench area. have to run one process for importing the invoice from the PPM module to the AR module. Go to the tools and then go to the schedule processes. Click on schedule new process. So this is the process name for importing the receivable transactions using auto invoice. Click on search here. Run this process. We can read the description. Import invoices, credit memos, debit memos and on account credits from the other source systems into Oracle Fusion Receivable and validates the imported data. So this process will import the transaction from other source systems. In our case, the source system is project module. Now here you have to give the transaction source. So this is the transaction source, that is contract invoices, and by default it is taking today's date. So we have filled out the mandatory information. Now click on submit, then click on OK. Refresh this process page. Click on this home page and now go to the billing workbench area. Go to the task panel and then click on manage transactions. Select the transaction source here. And then click on search. Let's search with the date. try to create new event. Then generate the invoice against this event. And submit this process. Let's check for this process status. Check the report. Now go to the manage invoice option. And search with the contract number here. Click on search. So you have to click on this number. So in our first case we have forgot to approve this invoice. First we have to submit, approve and release the invoice, then only it will be able to be imported from the PPM module to the AR module. You can see here the invoice distribution. And here you can see the approval history for this invoice, if any. From here you can see the preview of this invoice. So here you can see the preview of the invoice that we have created. So in the first line we have created the invoice for 1,70,000. 1,75,000, then 50,000, and then 10,000. So it comes to 2,35,000. In this way you can see the invoice here. Now we have to submit this invoice. Then next step is we have to approve this invoice. Until the status of this invoice is released, you won't be able to generate, or you won't be able to transfer this invoice to the receivable module. Under contract also you can see the limit, the invoiced amount, and the available funds for which you are still able to create the invoice. So we have created the limit, that is 2,75,000, and out of this soft limit we have already created the invoice for the amount 2,35,000, and there are still 40,000 balance with which we can create the invoice. And here you can see the financial summary for this invoice. Click on done, and we will approve this invoice. You can see the tab here, approve, click on it, and then we have to release this invoice. Click on release. Now it is asking for date here, and here you have to provide the receivable number. Click on submit. Now you can see the status has changed to release. Now this invoice is ready to be transferred to the receivable module. So now you have to go to the task, that is transfer invoice details to receivable modules. Select the contract number here, and then click on submit. Click on overview, and from the process monitor you can check the status of this process. So it is succeeded. Click on republish. You can see the report here. There are no errors and successful transaction is 1. Now let's log in with the user who have receivable module access. Again run the process, that is import receivable transaction using auto invoice. Search here, and now click on OK. Run this process. Select the transaction source as contract invoices. Now click on submit. Let's check this whether that transaction has imported to receivable module. Go to billing workbench area of receivable module, go to task panel and then go to the manage transaction. Select the transaction source here and give the transaction number here, search for it. So you can see here the invoice that we have created in the projects module. From there we have pushed this invoice in the AR module. Let's open this transaction. So this is the header information of this invoice, and here you can see the unit price, the quantity, and also here you can see the project information, the description that we have mentioned, you can see here. Here you can see the customer details. So we have selected the net 30 in our contract, and it is taking the payment term from the contract that we have associated with this event. Go to the miscellaneous information. So this is the miscellaneous information. Click on view image. Here you can see the text details in this invoice. Now click on save and close. So in today's session we have gone through the process of creating the transaction in the project module and then importing the same to the account receivable module in the Fusion application. Thank you so much for watching the session. Have a good day.